Good afternoon. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Tuesday, May 8th. Frank Granito in studio alongside Kevin Coleman. A big day on Monday in the FCX. Lots going on. We were all around the league. We've got highlights from multiple games to show you today. But Kevin, the big takeaway now, baseball's starting to make a little bit more sense after yesterday's games.
Yeah, after what we saw yesterday, a couple, not upsets, but a couple surprising wins, some really tight games that came down to the wire. Really fun Monday in FCX baseball that is now making the playoff race so much more exciting.
Well, the other big thing, too, again, we saw the top two teams in the league battling it out. John Kovacs will join us later in the show, and we'll talk more about that Richfield Staples game. Darien taking on their rival New Canaan. That potentially for third place bragging rights in the conference right now. And I want to start with the game you were at yesterday, Kevin. Arguably the hottest team in the league right now. Winners of 7 of 8. They're currently 9-4 in the FCX. In fourth place, the Danbury Hatters.
And you know what? They threw one of their pitchers who hasn't been talked about enough this year. Rich Weckerly, complete game, 14 strikeouts. I mean, he had everything going. He had the fastball working. He just had all these central players just not knowing what pitch was coming next. He had the off-speed pitch working, the 12-6 curve. I mean, he was throwing some nasty pitches, getting guys just fooling batters. You'll see in the highlight, you'll see a couple of them kind of swing out of their shoes a little bit. But Kenny Martinez made an unbelievable catch in center field that I thought was almost Willie Mays-like. Yep. Javon Hernandez continues to be one of the top players in the FCX. He had 2 hits yesterday, including a single and a triple in RBI. Also stole 2 bags, including third base as well. So you're going to see Danbury is a team that likes to run. A lot of fast players, a lot of good athletes, but a lot of smart baseball players, good defensively as well. So all around, Danbury, really smart team from what I saw yesterday.
Well, let's cue up those Danbury highlights, and I want you to talk to me about what it is with this team that makes you believe they've got a chance to win an FCX championship here.
Yeah, let's get it going. Now you're going to see right here, they're going to be aggressive early. See, pass ball, that's their first one. There it is, Javon Hernandez. He gets on base, a leadoff hitter, steals second. Then they get a double steal. He takes third, and the pass ball gets by, and he scores. And you're just seeing Danbury here get real aggressive. But, Bridgeport Central made some really nice plays out in the field as well that were really surprising to me. And you're going to see this play right here, throwing it back to home. They're going to hold see them throwing out the runner here. What a throw. I mean, absolute cannon out in right field there. And just Danbury also made some really nice plays in the field. You're seeing there, just see that nasty strikeout by Weckerly there.
You talked about Weckerly and how he's a little underappreciated. Now you factor in you've got Weckerly and the 2 Solomon brothers. That's solid pitching depth here, and I don't think the Hatters are getting enough credit for that. And you're right. I am really buying into right now the teams that are going to be aggressive at the plate. You look back at this past week, and obviously a lot of the teams playing multiple games, big stretches of games in short periods of time. Think about how many games were up in the double digits for both teams last week. The runs that we're seeing, this is not going to be an FCX tournament, I think, where you're talking about games that are won 1-0, 2-1 versus more likely 8-6, 9-7 kind of score.
Well, they're also not only aggressive in the batter's box, they're super aggressive on the base path. I mean, Danbury was just all over Central yesterday, running all over the place, so aggressive. There was, like we mentioned, they had the double steal on twice in this game. They were just, I was really blown away from what I saw strategy-wise, too, from Danbury. They were well prepared. They knew what they were going into. And, again, you're seeing a double play there from Bridgeport Central. Nice scoop by the first baseman. And here's the final out right here that Weckerly gets on a nasty fastball on the outside part of the plate. And it just awesome performance from Rich yesterday. Great performance from Danbury. I think a win like this, winning 9-0, just, yes, boosts the confidence, but gets them even more prepared for the playoffs.
And again, it was a game against Central. We talked about it on Nutmeg yesterday. A game they're supposed to win. They're expected to win, but how do they come out and take care of business? Again, winners of 7 out of the last 8. And you're talking about a time where a lot of the top teams in the league had a stretch where they lost 2 or 3 games in a row. So that's allowed Danbury to really get themselves back into the mix for a potentially 2 or 3 seed in the FCX tournament. They are 2 games behind Ridgefield as well. They're only a game behind Darien. I was down at the Blue Waves home stadium yesterday, Kev, and they took on their rival New Canaan. All the offense you needed to see in this game happened in the first 3 innings, and both teams had their aces on the mound. You saw Henry Williams go in here, and it was Zach Lopez on the other side for New Canaan. They struggled a little early on. They were inconsistent, battling to try and find the strike zone, but as they settled in, they both became so dominant. Williams is going to get the win. You had Justin Jordan come on and pick up the save there. Big thing for me, the top of the order for Darien produced the 3 runs that they needed. Justin Jordan came up big. Sean O'Malley had the game-winning RBI double. So that top part of the order continues to produce for the Blue Wave. For New Canaan, they had to start freshman at third base after losing a player for the season now. They struggled in the beginning of this game, started to settle in here, but that's a game they're going to look back at the schedule and hope now isn't going to be the difference between them being in the playoff picture and out, as it took Lopez probably 2 innings to really settle in.
Especially with Greenwich winning yesterday as well. That's, they're not in danger just yet, but you're right. Hopefully this is not a game that New Canaan looks back on and says, we lost by 1 run. Imagine if we were able to get that tying and winning run in. That could be a huge difference coming down to the end. But you mentioned Justin Jordan and O'Malley in that top part of the lineup. O'Malley's been great all season long. Justin Jordan, how much? There's not enough you could say about him. I mean, the guy's doing everything. He's coming in for the save. That's pretty good to have Justin Jordan on the back end. Coach Smith is saying, all right, it's time to bring in the lefty here to close things down, and to have him at the top of the order, just get on base, just absolutely stroking the ball. Yeah, he's Justin Jordan, phenomenal.
He's started a bunch this season as well. He's obviously so reliable in center field. 2 for 3 yesterday, scoring 2 runs. The big moment of the game has been the Rams with Kyle DeMeo at the plate. Bases loaded in the 4th inning, trailing by 1 with 2 outs, and he goes down looking, and that was with the bat stuck on his shoulder. And that's a guy they want at the plate in that situation, so a tough one there, but that was really when Williams was starting to hit his stride. Lopez finished with 7 strikeouts. Williams had 9. After the 3rd inning, these two just went back and forth and had the lineups locked down. So I think you could potentially see them play again in the first round of the tournament, and it'd be a really, really good matchup. But as much as it pains me to say it, I'm still high on the Darien train, and I'm riding them now all the way until Memorial Day weekend.
Listen, to have that rivalry in the FCI tournament for baseball now, I think we are expecting to see it in lacrosse and boys and girls. To have it in baseball too, that just makes for an outstanding year in all 3 seasons for Darien and New Canaan.
The Rams in softball yesterday got the better of the Blue Wave. They won 2-1 in the girls matchup. Those 2 games, though, the last guaranteed New Canaan-Darien games of 2018.
Oof.
We expect we'll see them again at some point in either boys or girls lacrosse for sure, but those were the last times they are scheduled to meet this year. So always a fun rivalry.
I think 2018. I mean, every year is so special with the rivalry, but 2018 is going to be pretty memorable. And I know it's going to be pretty memorable for New Canaan, especially.
Oh man, they better find some way to win one more here and really end a big time streak. We got plenty more to cover on Nutmeg Sports. We're going to take a quick break. John Kovacs will magically appear when we get back. He's got highlights from Staples and Ridgefield battle for first place in FCX baseball yesterday. Next on Nutmeg Sports.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during Ram Truck Month, get up to $14,000 off on all in-stock 2017 Ram 1500 pickups. Come in and see us for details. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet. 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Ortho Connecticut Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Ortho Connecticut Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 4 locations: Norwalk, Darien, Westport, and Danbury. Go to myorthoct.com, like them on Facebook.
Create your dream home at Laurel Ridge. 3 bedrooms, 2-car garages, finished basements, wooden...
Now teeing off, Paul Miller from Miller Nissan in Fairfield.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What about my new Sentra?
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
He is never going to retire.
At Galt, we always put you first. As your full-service home heating partner, we provide expert delivery, installation, and maintenance for all your heating needs with knowledgeable, friendly professionals that give you peace of mind 24/7. Galt Family Companies, you first since 1863. At Galt.
And we're back on Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network. John Kovacs joining Kevin Coleman and myself, Frank Granito. Now, John was down at Richfield's Governor's Park yesterday, a big meeting between Staples and Ridgefield in baseball, first place in the league on the line, and it was the Tigers, John, who prevailed yesterday, give themselves a leg up now as we get closer and closer to the postseason.
You know, a tight game, though, a game that really could have gone either way, and I think in the end it was a question of Ridgefield taking advantage of the breaks that they got and Staples just not getting the big hit when they needed it.
Well, let's run the highlights. You walk us through it here, similar to what we had with Kevin. What you saw yesterday impressed you, why you're a believer in Ridgefield, what Staples needs to do better.
Well, in the bottom of the second, Ridgefield's going to take a 1-0 lead. Ball just off the glove of the center fielder. Nicholas Hanna scores. Tigers are going to strand 2. Wreckers in their half of the fourth. Zach Zobel singles in. Matt Stone ties it. Cohen gets things started again in the fifth. Singles to lead off. Second on a sac bunt. Scores when Matt Restivo drops a single on the left field line, and that makes it 2-1. Then they get an insurance run they're going to need. Great bunt there. Throw goes into center field. That allows the runner to go to third. And that is going to be Quinn McDonald scoring on a sac fly to right, coming up by Joseph Pastor. But the Wreckers aren't going away. It's 3-1 after that. They're going to need this run. So Matt DeLuca starts. He hits Kevin Raybacks with a 3-0 pitch. Then a single by Chad Knight. Now you've got first and second, 1 out. Stone's going to drive Raybacks home with a single to left. Now it's 3-2 with runners on, but you're going to nail it down with the strikeout and the save for Jake Hartz. He came in on a leadoff batter there. 3-0 pitch. Gets hit with the fourth. That was the end of the day for the starter. But a great outing for DeLuca.
Oh, let me come over to you with this, Kevin. What I think is the biggest takeaway and the biggest reassurance of this win for the Ridgefield Tigers, Alex Price wasn't on the mound.
That's right. We mentioned that we thought maybe since it was a big game like this that Fabry would put his trust in his ace. But the fact that he trusted a sophomore pitcher to come out and pitch against one of the best teams in the FCIAC, maybe even the state, and to throw another pitching performance like this. Remember, he threw a no-hitter about a week or two ago against New Milford. I mean, DeLuca is one of those guys who, another pitcher, coming up under the radar. Not a lot of people are talking about him because of Alex Price. But for the Ridgefield Tigers, they have the depth in pitching. To have Arts come in, he's a hard thrower. I know you saw him yesterday, John, to get that big strikeout against the Wreckers.
He threw hard. He was bringing it.
The Tigers, I tell you what, despite, and Frank and I talked about this yesterday, despite losing how many seniors they lost last year from the championship, the team that made it to the championship game, Fabry, the head coach, has done an absolutely terrific job of getting this team back to where it wants to be again this year with a lot of young players.
I'm going to give you the stat that makes all the difference in this game. Staples left 10 men on, 8 in scoring position, bases loaded in the third, second and third in the fourth, on second in the fifth, sixth, and seventh. And I heard one coach coming off the field say, we got to stop striking out with men on.
Yeah, and on the other side for Staples too, I don't know that he pushed the panic button yet. Harry Azadian gets the loss going 5 1/3, surrendered 3 runs, only 1 of them earned. And of course, the big play there, you saw the bunt. Matt Stone, as good as any catcher in this league, goes to throw to second. It's a risky play, but realistically, that's a play he makes 9 times out of 10. Uncharacteristic of him, the errant throw there.
I never for a second questioned his decision to throw to second. The bunt was right there. He played it. I mean, that bunt went inches. That bunt, yeah. I mean, that went that far.
I almost looked foul in the highlight, too, a little bit.
It's just fair. Yeah. It was just fair, but, Stone snags it great, and then fires, and it's just low and just kind of skips coming in. And that first run, it's a long run in center field by Zach Zobel, and, glances off it. He got leather on it, just not enough. It's too really... they're not like glaring errors. These are guys trying to make plays, and just the bounce didn't go their way yesterday in Ridgefield.
No, and that is a difficult place to play regardless. It is a very big outfield, as you mentioned. If the wind is blowing at all, life gets that much more difficult. So I'm not going to panic for Staples just yet, but I really do believe the stock for the Tigers, is certainly starting to boom.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. The confidence level with a win like this, there has to be through the roof right now with this team. And to have young players stepping up, to have you have upperclassmen, veterans on this team. Now, with a guy like Alex Price, you're able to get a great start out of Matt DeLuca yesterday, knowing that Alex Price can now be fully rested for his next start and get him ready for the postseason run here in the FCAC tournament. Tigers, you're right, Frank. Their stock is rising. Their confidence is also rising as well.
Hey, watch the reaction in those highlights, in that highlight package. Watch the reaction to the third run coming across. Watch the reaction to that final strikeout on both sides. And you're going to see a really amped up Ridgefield team that knows they've won a big game. And frustration that the Staples team has to want to avoid feeling again.
John, we were just talking about this in the previous block before you joined us, but you look at what went on last week in the FCAC, some of the games yesterday as well. We're seeing a lot of high-scoring affairs, and it is not just one-sided games. We're talking about 15-14, 10-9, 8-7 kind of games across the board here. A couple of those as well yesterday. As we get closer to this tournament, do you seeing a defensive-minded team, or is it an aggressive team with big bats who has got the upper hand heading into the FCACs?
Prevailing wisdom is you ride the hot pitcher. So until somebody proves that wrong, I'm going to go with that, because you're going to run into a pitcher. Any one of these staffs that gets into the FCACs is going to have that pitcher that can shut down a team that scored 15 on Tuesday and 12 on Saturday.
Well, a team with a really hot pitcher is starting to make some noise in the FCAC, the Trumbull Eagles. They had their ace on the mound dealing yesterday. Our director, Steve Gutman's going to share a little bit of what he saw when we get back on Nutmeg Sports.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Our Ram trucks get the job done with unparalleled style and performance. Call, click, or stop in to find the new Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck that you've been looking for. Family owned and operated for over 50 years. Save thousands right now at the Jeep Celebration event and Chrysler Pacifica Incredible Sales event. Now through May 31st.
Winter's finally in the rearview mirror, and the Dock Shop is ready to help you usher in our favorite season, summer. We've got new offerings in our usual products: clothing, jewelry, home decor, fishing tackles, and boating supplies. And now the Dock Shop does in-house laser engraving. You can add a name, a boat name, latitude, longitude, an image to drinkware, serving platters, boards, or decorative accessories. No minimum, fast turnaround. Stop in today and start your summer. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network, continuing our Monday recap from around the FCIAC. Our director, Steve Gutman, was at Trumbull High School last night as the Eagles were playing host to the Fairfield Ward Mustangs. They had one of the best pitchers in the conference dealing, and he picked up another victory on the season as Ben Farrow leads Trumbull to a 9-3 win. They have quickly climbed all the way up into the 7 spot now, currently tied for 6th behind New Canaan with the tiebreaker scenario there. But Steve, talk a little bit about what you saw yesterday out of another great performance by Ben Farrow.
Frank, you mentioned it. He's, obviously one of the top pitchers in the FCIAC. He's definitely up there in the state. The kid shuts down teams that face him, and they know it. I think Ward went into the game yesterday with a little bit of a different game plan than we've seen maybe from some of Trumbull's other opposition this year. They're really working him in deep into the counts, fouling off a lot of pitches, which is actually not that safe at Trumbull High. There's a couple cards that took some hits yesterday, but they were 6-7 pitches deep into the count regularly. So he was out a little earlier than he may have usually been used to, but the Eagles' offense really was working Ward's pitching yesterday. They did not have good outings from the first 3 pitchers that were out there. The Eagles put up 9 in the first 3. They, I want to say, were hit twice and scored 2 on pass balls in the first inning. So Ben Farrow was really not labored in those first 3 innings that he was tossing, and it was a relatively easy outing for him compared to what he's been used to.
Yeah, he went for 5 innings. Then they brought in Ryan Vaughter, Justin Narati, Kevin Brugman, and Robert Goldsmith all to pitch. Chris Saladin taking the loss for Fairfield Ward, surrendering 4 in that first inning, and then Sean Stewart and Mason Mackay each getting a little bit of a lumping as well. It's a Trumbull team, guys, that over the past few years now, we've seen them have success in the FCIAC tournament. They have made it as far as the semifinals each of the last 3 years. They've been in the FCIAC championship a couple of times. If Farrow is dealing and this team gets hot, they are one of those squads that you really do not want to go against come tournament time.
Yeah, they're a hot team, and they're a team that likes, they're in a position right now where they don't need to hit the panic button. They're a dangerous team even with 5 losses. And Trumbull, I think, even though, they're kind of like Danbury too, where, towards those last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, it seems like each year they start to trend upwards a little bit. And Kevin Brugman has to be one of the top catchers in the FCIAC. The guy calls a great game. He's got a great bat too at the top of the lineup. Trumbull, again, is one of those teams where they have the hitters where, Ben Farrow is dealing and he's pitching, he's keeping the opponent to no runs. Trumbull is that team where late in the game they can squeeze together a couple runs late.
John, 6 teams currently sit with 5 or 6 losses in the conference. That would be New Canaan, Trumbull, and Ward, all with 5 losses. Greenwich, Ludlow, and Wilton all have 6 at the moment. 2 of those teams are realistically going to be out for the FCIAC tournament. Who are your 2 you're concerned with the most?
Whew. That is a tough call. I mean, mathematically, I'm looking at Ludlow and Wilton, but they're just a couple of wins away from flipping that. Trumbull, I just think, Kevin talks about how they always seem to get hot late. I kind of think Trumbull's style of baseball is to kind of just hang out in the middle of the pack until the postseason starts and then get hot. Ward is Ward, and Ward will get hot late. They just always do. Greenwich may be a team to have a concern.
I think Greenwich and New Canaan actually are the teams I'm concerned with. They do not hold as many of the tiebreakers down around that area that you would like. For New Canaan, you still have St. Joe's and Ridgefield remaining on your schedule, and I believe Staples is in there too. Over your final 4 games now, those are 3 of them. That's not going to be a very easy stretch. And Fairfield Ward and Fairfield Ludlow both hold tiebreakers over the Rams. So for New Canaan, you've really got to find a way to knock off 2 of the top 5 teams in the league, at least down the stretch here after losing to Darien yesterday.
You saw them yesterday. Do they have the pitching to do that?
It'll be interesting. I'm very excited to see, and I will be at that game Wednesday when they play Ridgefield at home. Pat Metzger will be on the mound for the Rams. He had a huge performance against them last year in the regular season that helped pole vault the Rams into the postseason. They're going to need something like that again out of the senior. It's tough. The bats were anemic yesterday. They got helped by Williams struggling at the plate early on, walking several batters. You had a walked-in run and you hit a sac fly. Other than that, the Rams did not do much at the plate. And with the teams they've got coming up, having some very strong pitching, you see Alex Price on Wednesday, and potentially that ends your season right there. So I have concerns for New Canaan. They're a team for me right now, despite being 6th and at the top of that tiebreaker with Ward and Trumbull. I think they're actually in the first 4 out.
My only team that I'm really concerned about at this point, I think Greenwich with a huge win, walk-off win against Wilton. Wilton, the defending champs, they're my big concern right now. That was a tough loss to surrender yesterday. Now you go 6-6. Really going to be a tough struggle for the Warriors now, who you think last year they won it all. They finally get to celebrate at Harbor Yard the last year there. You expected them to get back because they do bring back a lot from that roster last year. And to see them at 6-6 now, a lot of frustrating losses that they had at the beginning part of the season, and now to see them at 6-6, big concern for me is the Wilton Warriors.
It's going to be a lot of fun down the stretch. I feel bad we didn't have time to get to softball today. Ludlow taking down St. Joe's yesterday. We'll break that down tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports. We've got boys lacrosse coming up tonight. This is a big game. And you know what? The more we look at the standings, though, John, there's a little less impact on this game for Fairfield Ludlow than we might have anticipated. But I'll swing it to you this way. Greenwich now has become the biggest Falcons fan in the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they need Ludlow to finish hot.
Oh, yeah, and listen, this is a Ludlow team that is not getting enough appreciation.
Yeah.
They just knocked off
They've
Staples.
got
They're
players.
currently 4th in the FCIAC.
They have players. They've got some real studs on that lacrosse team.
The season ended tomorrow. They would be hosting a playoff game. Think about that. St. Joe's is not far behind. They are currently the last team in to that FCIAC tournament. This is who Greenwich is chasing. They're behind them by a game, so it's getting very, very interesting. A huge game tonight at Tap Field. We will be there for it. 7 p.m. face-off right here on the HA Network. You can catch us at 6:55. Guys, great job today. Steve, really good work. You'll get a chance to talk about Trumbull lacrosse as well tomorrow. They're currently sitting in the top 8 of the standings as well. You saw them take on North Haven out of conference as well. For Steve Gutman, John Kovac, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you back here tonight at 7 o'clock only on the HAN Network.